what is the nature of this society of the corporation? It's utterly undemocratic. It's completely authoritarian. The people who make those decisions are a small group of people, tiny group of people, 20 men meeting in a room, making a decision for hundreds of thousands of people who work in that corporation and for millions of people that corporation affects. We have to say we don't believe in an authoritarian society or culture. We believe in democracy. And democracy means that that corporation should really be run by the people of the United States. It should be democratically controlled. The big corporations, the big industries, I'm not talking about every mom and pop store or restaurant or something, but we're talking about, the historic phrase is to talk about the commanding heights of an economy. Those should be run by social decisions. We should meet as a nation through our representatives, through democratic institutions, to decide what we're going to do there. And I think it's, we have to propose a set of alternative values. Our values have to be not authoritarianism, but democracy. Not selfishness and greed, but cooperation and solidarity. So when we talk about this factory, we have to talk about a different vision of the factory, a different vision of industry and society. I would say one other thing here, is I think that if you think of, I'm talking about something that is a very radical idea, abolishing the corporation. I mean, this is the heart of this economy. And how would you go about that? And I think we have to think back to the visionary men and women of the 1830s and 40s in the United States who looked at the national economy and said, the heart of our economy in the United States that produces the agricultural wealth, that produces the material for industry, is a sick institution. It's not efficient, it's immoral, and it's destroying our country. And that institution was the plantation and plantation slavery. And a group of visionaries in the 1840s said that institution of the plantation, and remember in that period the South controlled the U.S. Congress, the Supreme Court, the presidency, and through them controlled the military of the United States and so on. Today, the corporation controls the Congress, the Supreme Court, the president, the military. We have to abolish the corporation as they organized, as they foresaw. You had to abolish the plantation and the slavery that went with it. We have to abolish the corporation. And the kind of slavery, a historic word for that is wage slavery, the kind of slavery that goes with it. We need a different kind of society. I don't think that this can be accomplished by electing me. I don't think it can be accomplished by electing any number of socialists. I don't think that's the way that change happens. And I think that many of you have lived here long enough to know that change happens in America, it happens around the world, through social movements. It happens when people begin to move in society to demand justice, to demand fairness, and to demand the changes that bring the society back into line with what human needs, wants, desires, and necessities really are. And I think that that kind of a change has to be brought about by a movement. So part of my idea of this campaign is I'm running for office. Yes, I want people to vote for me. Yes, I want to be out there and be on the campaign trail like others. But my view of what somebody in my position can do that's most important is I can begin to meet people like those of you who are at this meeting today, like the people that you know who are active in your communities, that we can begin to build a network of people in the state of Ohio and throughout the country who believe in an alternative that would be fair and that would be just and that would be democratic, and who are willing to entertain with us the notion that that alternative should be a democratic socialist society. Now, and there are many people out there, I think, who hold socialist ideas. I was very excited in the petitioning phase of this campaign, and people reported this to me elsewhere, that they would go up to young people, they'd be walking by saying, hello, would you sign our petition? I'm gathering a petition to get on the ballot. And young people would first, oh, it's a petition to get on the ballot. They'd kind of put their plugs back in their ears and listen to their music and go walking on until somebody would say, this is a socialist candidate. And they would say, let me sign that. And I think we should recognize that many young people, I'm not saying it's a majority or something, but there are now many young people out there who are self-identifying as socialist. And I think that's interesting. Why is that? I think because many of them have come to feel if the right is attacking the notion that health care is socialist, well, then maybe I'm a socialist. If the notion that we should be able to afford education is socialist, well, then maybe I'm a socialist. Now, I know this isn't a majority opinion among young people, but I'm very heartened to have a number of young people do that in the course of the campaign. So I think we need to build a movement. Well, what can we do to build a movement? Well, one is, I think those of you who are here, people who support my campaign, I know that you're already activists. You're already present in the movements that are taking place. You're active in movements of labor, of civil rights, of housing, of lesbian and gay discrimination, and marriage rights. That you're already active in those movements. But I think we have to continue to be active, and we should be in the forefront of movements on environmental change and so on. That is, we should be active and we should be in the forefront of those movements, and we should be solidarizing ourselves, being in solidarity with other people in those movements. I also think that where we can, those of us who have experience, have to raise the strategic ideas. One of the big strategic ideas, a basic fundamental idea that seems so forgotten in American society, is the notion of solidarity. That an injury to one is an injury to all. And we have to revive that concept. An injury to one is an injury to all. That we are building solidarity, and we're going to build a movement of people who stick together. I think that the biggest thing that a campaign can bring, though, is a broader analysis of society and can bring the notion of the socialist alternative. There's a relationship. You need two things to change society. You need critical thinking. You need an ability to critically look at the society and analyze it and disagree with it and propose alternatives, and you need a social movement. And the notion that everything can be done by being an activist in the street and sheer militancy, that isn't the answer. And the notion that critical thinking alone will change society is not right. These two things complement each other, but I think they're also in a real intense dynamic. There's a dynamic interaction between critical thinking and activism. I thought Alex said something about, well, you're an educator and we want to educate people about socialism. And I think that, and I appreciate that, and I hope I could fulfill and justify your thinking I'd be a good educator. But I think the best education comes through activism. That is, it's in action and in the conflict that comes with action. Because social change means conflict. It means you're going to come into conflict with the people who want to keep things the way they are, who want to protect the insurance companies and the banks, who want to be on the side of big business, who want to keep free trade, not fair trade, who don't care about workers' rights, who want to discriminate against the gay and lesbian community, who are racist. So you're going to have to, if we create a movement, we come into conflict. There's going to be conflict. So, but it's the conflict. And I think of whole generations of people now that I'm old enough to have been able to observe this, whose greatest experience was, we're going to go out and do something that seems perfectly reasonable. And then they run into the university administration, or the employer, or city government, and they find out, well, they don't want to do the reasonable. And that's when people begin to go, well, what's going on here? Why don't they want to do what we know would be best for people? That's the real education. So I think that we want to help people see those alternatives and draw those lessons. Now to turn more directly to what Mary asked me to talk about. That is the campaign.